think we'll get started here. Thanks for joining us. This is our Destination Series live. And the last few weeks, we've done a few Destination Series events. We did our calendar for 2021. We did Patagonia. Last week, we did Kilimanjaro. And those three are out on YouTube now on our Worldwide Trekking YouTube channel. And today we're going to do the Utah, Southern Utah, and specifically our Mighty 5 trip. We do offer a number of trips in Southern Utah. The Mighty 5, we've just recently added one called the Journey of Discovery, which has a little bit more of the dinosaurs, paleontology, the Native American rock art, as well as some national parks and river rafting and other activities. So we'll be doing that one in a few weeks. We also have a couple 5-day trips. But today we had special guests scheduled. The Provenzo family was going to join us, and unfortunately they had some weather that has prevented them from getting to their home and computer. So not a big deal. I'm just going to proceed forward. So as usual, I share my screen here. There we go. And we'll go through the details of Southern Utah and what that trip is like. It is a great trip for families, groups, and mixed groups on our schedule. We usually run this trip Saturday through Saturday. It's convenient for people to take maybe 1 week in the summer or fall off as opposed to splitting 2 weeks. So we've kind of gone to that, although we can always customize dates. And because this is right in our backyard, this is right here in our home state, we can accommodate special dates. So if you are interested and want to go at a specific time or have a certain time carved out of your schedule, let us know and we'll put it together. This is one that we can also do with smaller groups and private groups. You know, we've got a family of 4 or 3 or 5 or any real size. We can work this out. So let us know and we'll customize it in some ways. And it's an amazing adventure. I ran it 7 times this summer from July, August, September, October, and even into November. It changes a little bit, but it's fantastic, and we adapt and change to it. So we'd like to welcome you to our home state right here in Utah. We're very fortunate to have a beautiful playground and host 5 national parks in our state. We start down in Zion, we move over to Bryce, Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, and Arches National Parks. But I think as you'll see, we also visit so many other interesting sites along the way. So here's the state of Utah, the Great Salt Lake, obviously, and the state capital, Salt Lake, up in here. We are going to focus more on the southern part of the state. So if you can see my pointer, we start in St. George. You can fly into St. George. We can also start in Las Vegas for this trip. And it's also okay to start in Salt Lake City if you want to. Our base is in Salt Lake City, so we can easily have you just drive down the first day with our team. And the reason we sometimes start in the southwest corner in Vegas or St. George is just because that's a few hour drive. So it just eliminates people's first day drive. But otherwise, it's not a problem. We begin and start in Salt Lake City at our home office anyway. We're going to spend the majority of the time on the Colorado Plateau. And if you see this blue shaded section of Utah down in the southern corner here by the Four Corners, you know, this is the premier spot in the world to see Earth history and pioneer history and so many other things. We spend a fair amount of time studying and looking at the Native American rock art. You can see on the left pictographs that are painted onto the rock. On the right, petroglyphs that are chipped into the rock, carved into the rock. These date back 8,000 years with 5 different civilizations that lived here. So you have the Barrier Canyon, archaic ancestral Puebloan or Anasazi, the Fremont Indians, and then the more recent 1800s, the Ute, Paiute, Navajo Indians, leaving their rock art on the wall. There's also a tremendous amount of pioneer history, outlaw history, and small towns that had developed in these Western areas since the Civil War, really, and the Utah Valley being occupied by the Mormons in 1847. And then from there, many other pioneers coming through, pioneer settlements. And we see a lot of these ghost towns and other historic sites along the way. So it's really fantastic, and it gives ourselves a really nice blend. As far as transportation goes, it's really important because we travel. The nice thing about Southern Utah is all of our drives each day are just a couple hours between parks, so we don't spend, enormous amounts of time in the vehicle just driving. We do our activities and then we drive. You can see on the upper left our cargo support trailer. It's got a full kitchen in it. It's got 25 gallons of water and a sink and coolers and stoves. And it helps us cater really fun barbecue dinners. On the right there, this summer, we were doing all of the breakfasts as well. And it's really important to have good, comfortable vehicles. The view out of the vehicles is really important. But for us, we've got raised suspensions on our vehicles, off-road tires, all the things that are going to keep us safe and traveling comfortably throughout our trip. Typically, the guides are going to get up early, and when they do, they're going to pack lunches for the day. Sometimes we'll do to-go breakfast. Sometimes we'll make a breakfast. Sometimes we'll have breakfast at the hotel. And then we're always mostly going to do packed lunches. It depends on the situation. Sometimes we'll do a more sit-down style lunch. But the reason that we like to pack lunch and snack packs is because as we venture throughout the day, different people, different ages, different just individuals like to snack and eat at different times. And it's really important to keep your nutrition level up. We make sure that we have a variety of snacks in there and fruit and a sandwich, and always have our hydration station in the back of our vehicle with lemonade and water and soft drinks and soda waters and some adult beverages and everything that we're going to want for our massive and amazing road trip. So it's important that we're comfortable and we have those packs in our day packs during the day. You're typically going to wear just a small day pack. We can refill waters throughout the day and drinks. And then, our snack packs get us throughout the day with lots of good things and goodies to eat. As far as the evenings go, we're always going to stay in really fantastic hand-selected lodging. So as far as that goes, we have a very select lodge system that we like to use and choose. They all have the standard nice amenities. We end going towards the highest end accommodations available. They have pools, hot tubs, all the other standard amenities. We don't spend a tremendous amount of time at the hotels, especially during the day, but we really do retreat to very comfortable accommodations each night. It's not a camping trip. It is lodge-based, and we move those lodges. The first 2 nights we're in a lodge, and then after the first 2 nights, we spend 2 nights in a lodge, and then the last 3 nights we're in the same lodge. So you don't have to move it every day, but we do pick hand-selected lodges throughout our journey. So as we start down in St. George or maybe in Vegas in the lower left, we'll just go a short distance up into Springdale, Utah, right at the entrance to Zion National Park. Zion is Utah's oldest national park. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. And as we go through this presentation, I think that you'll see that all of our parks are extremely different than one another. They all look very different. They're all geologically very different and very unique. So Zion is carved out by the Virgin River, 2,000-foot rock walls. It's just amazing. We spend the day hiking up through a select hiking trail in Zion, taking the big high views, have a picnic lunch up along the way. And it's spectacular. I mean, the hanging gardens and all of this sandstone, it's just really a beautiful, beautiful landscape and park. People love it. The Virgin River here that carves it out. We walk along the Virgin River, and we have a really fun-filled day in Zion National Park. So it's a really great way to start our trip, and it's just a really, really great time in Zion National Park. So moving on from Zion National Park, usually what we do is we end up finishing our hike and our stops and our sites sometime in the afternoon. And then we're going to drive, if you could see my pointer here, we're going to drive just about an hour and a half over into the Bryce area. The following day, we'll be going into Bryce Canyon National Park. It's about 160 million years newer than Zion National Park. And the rock formations here are extremely different. And the Navajo Indians thought that these were spirits that had been cast into stone. And it's really pretty neat. These are what they call hoodoos, these rock pillars that are formed in Bryce Canyon National Park. And we have a variety of hand-selected routes that we like to hike. We like to hike one of the backcountry loops. And what we try to do in all of the national parks is pick certain areas that are not the most prominent tourist visited areas when everybody just drives through the park. We like to try to go to the unique areas, those hidden gems, the places that we know about because we do know Utah well. So we spend the day there. On this one, we're definitely going to have another packed picnic lunch because we usually eat out on the trail. It's a really great way to spend the day. The weather in all seasons is really great. Zion is Utah's smallest national park. It's also Utah's highest national park. So we're going to be about 8,000 feet here on average. We drop in about 1,000 feet and come out, but about between 7 and 8 or so 1,000 feet during the day. But it's not high enough altitude to really affect anybody with acclimatization or anything like that. In the desert, in this dry air climate, it's always important that people hydrate a lot and really think about drinking a lot. And we take a lot of breaks and in the shade and make sure that we have electrolytes and are really just taking care of our body. I always talk to the group when we start out and we do that first evening orientation. And on any journey that we offer, any adventure, we're wanting to make sure that we take good care of ourselves right from the start and in the beginning when we're feeling really good, because we want to be able to finish strong till the end and enjoy every single day. And the dry air and the steady hiking and the dry environment can add up if you don't hydrate well. So from Bryce Canyon National Park, we're going to continue on. We're going to go through this large green area called the Grand Staircase National Monument, Grand Staircase of Escalante. And it's really just an amazingly scenic drive that afternoon. And that's really nice. I mean, a lot of the times we go first thing in the morning for our hikes. We do our activities. We have our lunch. We continue on in the afternoon a little bit. And then during the warmest time of the day, towards the end of the day, we're taking in a really beautiful scenic drive and being able to venture over to our next destination. And that puts us in position for the following day's activity. So as we venture over from Bryce Canyon National Park, we're going to come to a small town called Torrey, Utah, and we are having traveled through the Grand Staircase and up over Boulder Mountain, and coming into Torrey. It's a beautiful scenic drive, and then we're going to make our way to Capitol Reef National Park. Here's some buffalo that we can see along the way. The American buffalo, really just an amazing beast. And if you're not from the West, you probably don't have the opportunity to see these animals at all. So really unique. Then the following day, Capitol Reef, one of my favorite national parks. It's Utah's newest national park. It was made a national park in the mid-70s. And it's a park that a lot of people don't even really know about. It's really, I'd say they kind of call it Utah's hidden gem. And it's really a great park. There is a tremendous amount of hiking opportunities here. It's almost hard to pick. During the summer months, we like to hike this trail called Sulfur Creek, which brings us hiking about 5 or so miles right down the creek bed. And it's really fantastic to see the way the creek over centuries and centuries has carved out the rock walls. There's a lot of what they call subways where it's really arched over like this. And it's just a really fun day. It gives us a lot of unique hiking experiences to be able to hike down these narrow rock walls where the water comes up. Whoops, even a bit higher at times. Sandy bottom in all these places, non-technical, and a great way to cool off in the summer months. It's really fun. There's waterfalls. We passed 3 waterfalls, and we have a fantastic day in this unique area. This is another one of those places where all summer long, as I guided 7 groups, as we got into the fall, I adjusted our schedule to avoid going in the water in the cooler temperatures. But when we were going down this, most of the time we saw no one, and a couple times just a few people all day, which is a really spectacular situation when you think of how crowded national parks are. Oftentimes, we know how to go to the places that avoids those crowds. It's really kind of fun. Here at the end, you can see it even ends with a water slide down a waterfall into a huge pool of water. And you can see one of the waterfalls on the right there. And it's just spectacular day in Capitol Reef. As I said, when we got into the fall, we decided in Capitol Reef to adapt our schedule a little bit and go to other hikes. It's not hard to find equally amazing hikes elsewhere in the park. This is Hickman Bridge, Cassidy Arch on the lower right. Cassidy Arch is one of the few places in the national park where you can actually walk over the top of the arch and have your photo taken up there. Hickman Bridge is a great option. And a lot of the times in these parks, as we get going on our trips, especially with private groups, family groups, things like that, we decide what hike's going to be best for the abilities that we have and what the family or the group that we have is going to enjoy. And we adapt some of that. So even if we have a group that has some really fast hikers, so to say, or some people that really want to hike a long way or a lot, and people that want to go less, we can adapt that very easily. A lot of our hikes are out and backs, so people can go all the way, and some people can turn back early. And our guides have radios, and it's really easy to kind of keep in touch and make sure that we're just really enjoying ourselves. On this second evening over here outside of Torrey, We like to do a picnic barbecue. This is one of our larger alumni groups photos. But typically, we're going to do a cookout the first night in Springdale. It's a really nice way to do our orientation briefing and put the maps out on the picnic table and make a really fun cookout dinner with a Dutch oven dessert. And then when we get over here to Capitol Reef, we're going to do another cookout. And I really do think that this was a great highlight for a lot of the groups this summer. You know, they can go to a lot of restaurants and a lot of places, and I'm sure wherever they're from, they have a lot of great restaurants. But to sit outside and have a private barbecue with great food and drink and be out in nature and watching the sunset and the light get good or even the stars come out is a really fantastic way to spend the evening. So these are outdoor trips, and we try to spend some time outdoors enjoying them. So after 2 nights out in Torrey in the Capitol Reef area, we're going to go from where my little pointer is there up just another short distance, about an hour and a half, up to what they call the San Rafael Swell. This is a large geological rock feature up in here. And before we head out of Torrey, of course, we're going to visit a lot of things along the way on that drive. There's a one-room schoolhouse, a pioneer cabin, a blacksmith shop, a small village there called Fruta that has some really interesting history and nice stop and look sites along the way. We also see a Fremont Indian granary that's about 2,000 years old and some Native American rock art along the way. And then we make our way to the San Rafael Swell. The San Rafael Swell is a really long geological feature, 100 plus miles in southern Utah, but it does have a number of really nice slot canyons. And we pick one that is a really fun slot canyon, and it's what we call canyoneering. It's when you explore a narrow slot. And the one that we do pick is non-technical. So there's no ropes that are needed. It's really family friendly, and it's something that people really enjoy. I mean, this for a lot of people going through the 1 foot wide narrow rock walls and winding our way up through this very long slot. This is an out and back. It's about 2.5 miles up into the slot and 2.5 miles back. So it's a really fun way to explore a geological feature. This could be a good example where weather would come into play for us, and we're always going to be thinking about that. If it happened to be a time when we were going to have rain in the forecast, we would not be going to this slot canyon, but we would pick an alternate route of something amazing to do on the day. I often tell the groups that when we're down in southern Utah and we finish, I said we could go back, we could do all the same hotels and all the same nights and pick all different trails at least a couple more times, and they would not even see the same hiking trails that they did. So we try to pick the best of the best, but there's a lot of options, and that's really hard to do. People really do love Little Wild Horse Canyon. It's one of those places that is you get the comment a lot that it looks like the postcards and or the calendars that people see. It's really fantastic way to explore a narrow slot. A lot of the times we'll go over to Goblin Valley State Park. It's very close. We kind of come into the edge of Goblin Valley State Park. Sometimes we do lunch here. Sometimes we do lunch at a big overlook area. It really depends. And we like to keep our plans adaptable a little bit to really cater to the group and their enjoyment and, the time that we have to explore the different areas. So if you look at my pointer from Goblin Valley, we're going to go up over to Interstate 70. We're going to go east a little bit, and then we're going to drop down into the Moab area. Moab will be for 3 nights in a row, and it gives us a lot of time to do different activities and explore different national parks. So the first day in Moab, especially in the summer months, we're going to do a river trip day down the Colorado River. Incredibly scenic views, lunch on the river, and then after the day of river rafting, during the day of river rafting, people have the opportunity to swim off the boat again and swim during lunchtime and things like that. So we do have some water days, which is nice, and it cools people off. A lot of the times in the afternoon, we do have a little bit of free time or time to go see other things. We like to go to the dinosaur tracks. You can see this gentleman in the white pointing out the dinosaur tracks that were left in the rock by the Allosaurus dinosaurs 160 million years ago. And we also a lot of times go visit other Native American rock art, and it really depends. We again see where the group interest lies and use and fill our days with fun things to see. There is no shortage of areas to go explore with our groups and teach them about all of these different things along the way. While we're over here, a lot of the times we'll do another cookout, which is really fun. And this is usually the second to the last night of our trips. As we get into the fall, of course, we do some less cookouts if it's cold weather. It really depends on the week. This last summer, I had a group in October where the temperature was quite cool. And then I had a group in early November and it was really warm. So really nice. So it changes, but to have a big campfire, lower left, we're watching the full moon come up over Fisher Towers and Castle Valley, and then lower right, watching the stars come out, which is absolutely amazing. This is one of the noted dark skies in our country. So it's a really great combination into the nighttime with these huge starry skies and constellations to explore. So then we're as well, while we're down in Moab, we're going to go explore Arches National Park. Arches National Park is home to more than 2,000 natural rock arches. And it's really interesting how they're formed. The rock, slick rock layer that we're in right now is quite red. It's quite different from what we saw in Bryce and Capitol Reef and down in Zion. So we do go and we see arch after arch. This is Double O Arch. We go to Seneca Arch. We see all these different arches throughout the day. So we're trying to just go, and I usually drive to the end of the park and then just work our way back out, seeing a lot of arches as we go, with a lot of couple mile hikes, some longer, some shorter, trying to avoid the crowds, using more of their primitive trail system. Arches can be quite crowded because of the easy access to lots of areas. But if you know where to go, you can avoid those crowds a lot, and you can find some unique opportunities. This is Landscape Arch. This is one of the longest arches in the world. And if you can see my pointer here on this side here in the 90s, this flake had broke off. So arches are constantly changing in geological speed, which is very slow, but eventually these will all fall and new ones will be formed. In our lifetime, we'll just see a little bit of that movement, maybe. So then the following day, we're going to make our way to our 5th national park. On the way, we'll stop by a big arch alongside the highway called Wilson Arch. And along the way, we're going to stop at this place called Newspaper Rock. Newspaper Rock is a really, it's a rock with many stories, like a newspaper. And the reason it has so many stories, so much rock art, it's not from one civilization, which is the very interesting thing. If you look up high here, you can see the rock art that's the highest up into what we call the desert varnish. This dark rock is desert varnish. So this is just a small layer where the iron oxide has oxidized the rock and made it dark brown. And then when they chipped into it, the layer underneath is quite light. And that's why they could make this rock art in it. So this is Barrier Canyon art that's maybe 6,000 years old. And the reason that it's dark is because in that length of time, it started to varnish over again. So if you think of something that old, and then you look at some of these timepieces, and then right here where you have someone sitting on horseback hunting, that's going to be the newest form of rock art, maybe Navajo or Paiute. And the reason that we know that is because horses were brought to the New World in 1630. So they didn't have horses to hunt with until these very newer tribes and civilization. So there's a lot of stories here. Rock art's very interesting because it's open for interpretation. This was the only thing they left behind. There's no ancestry that is able to pass on stories. These are the stories they left so many, many years ago. And then we're going to go through Indian Creek Canyon, and we're going to pop out in Canyonlands National Park. We like to explore the Needles district of Canyonlands. Canyonlands is Utah's largest national park. It's carved out by the Colorado River and the Green River, hence Canyonlands. And it's got three districts. It's got the Island in the sky, it's got the Maze, and the Needles in the south. We like to go down to the Needles and explore the Needles area. And on most all of my groups this summer and into the fall, I saw a few, if any, people on an 8-mile hike that we do down there. We can adapt that hike to go 4 miles, and depending on the group is depending on what we do. So to be out here and explore that length of hike for that long and not see another soul and take in these amazing views and unbelievable landscapes really is a special way towards the end of our trip, to kind of end our trip. Really love Canyonlands. We do make a point to stop by Dead Horse Point. Dead Horse Point State Park has its own unique story. I'll tell you that one on the trip. And it's an amazing view, a huge view now that we're looking out at the Colorado River coming down here and carving out these canyons. We're actually looking out into the Island in the Sky area of Canyonlands National Park from Dead Horse Point. But the interesting thing about Utah, of course, is the geology and the things that people all know, the beauty of it, and all these national parks that are just so amazingly beautiful. But I think some of the surprises, especially that I saw this summer from our guest, is how impressed they were to see all these, like this Fremont Indian granary that's 2,000 years old, tucked up into the rocks where they used to hide their grain and preserve their grain and food to survive. And then these Anasazi or ancestral Puebloan rock art, Fremont Indian rock art, and all of the different civilizations. There's also a very interesting and neat pioneer history, from the 1800s when the settlers and the Mormons decided to pioneer west and venture out into new terrain. And along with that, of course, the outlaws, Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid being one of the most popular here in Utah. Butch Cassidy was born in southern Utah, and the Wild Bunch made their way through the Outlaw Trail up in Wyoming, through Utah, down into New Mexico regularly. And they hosted a lot of their train robberies and bank robberies and holding up payrolls for mining operations in the southern Utah area. There's a ghost town on the right that we visit that has a really unique history to that as well. But I like to think that Utah is a great area for families to come together, for discovery, for self-discovery, for exploration and knowledge and learning, and just have some really fun filled days of excitement. We really do have something for everyone here. And this summer, although I couldn't travel because of the pandemic overseas, we did host a number of small private trips, and it was really a great way to reconnect with our regular operations here in southern Utah and see these fun families and friends get out and enjoy the area. As usual with all of our trips, when you sign on, we're going to give you what we call a trip detail for the area. It's going to have all of the information on the day to day, the accommodations, how to get there. Of course, you're going to have a adventure specialist be able to answer all your questions that you have as we go. It's really important that we provide you with a really nice gear list, and that's going to help you prepare. We can always help with the selections of things that you're bringing, and even the week before, we can touch base as you pack to look at the forecast for the following week. Although we're going to always want to bring certain items, we might know that it's not going to be as cool, or not expecting weather, and then we can help you adapt your way from there. But the 5 national parks are amazing. As I said, it's really unique. Every one is completely unique, but we think and know that there is a lot more to explore in southern Utah than just the national parks, and we love to show it to you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and let's see, I got a couple questions. Sorry, I just jumped on. Are the summers hot? Yeah, the summers are warm, but that's a good question, because prior to this summer, I had been out of the country a lot of the times during July and August. And this summer, I ran 3 groups in July and August. And it was a great time. I really think the families enjoyed it a lot. First of all, we spent a couple of the days in the water, and it's a really fun way for them to cool off. But the nature of how we always travel is to get up early and go hiking first thing. And then in the hot part of the day, we're moving to the next place in air conditioned vehicles. So it's not a problem. Whenever we take breaks, we use the shade and that kind of thing. It says, nice. Another one. We're worried about the hikes. Are they hard? Again, we adapt to our groups. So we try to know that if somebody's really eager to hike and put on a lot of miles, that we want to give them what they're looking for. And if somebody's concerned and can't go as far, or doesn't really want to hike as far, we let them hike less during the day. Most of our hikes are out and backs, so they can turn back early, like I said, and that shouldn't be a problem. Is there horseback riding? There is horseback riding. We stay on a ranch out in the Moab area, and it's an add-on that people can choose to do. The horsebacks go out each morning and afternoon. It's usually best if our groups go in the afternoon, and then we get them back to the ranch a little bit early. They go horseback riding for a couple hours before dinner, and that's really good. Along those lines, there's a lot of other activities. We do have, aside from just the Mighty Five, we have our Journey of Discovery, like I said. It does a little bit more dinosaurs and some other Native American rock art, and then a day of river rafting in the national parks. So it mixes it up a little bit differently, but you don't hit all 5 national parks. You hit Capitol Reef, Arches, and Canyonlands. And then we have a couple 5-day options, but we also have a custom option. So if you have a family or a group, small group even, that wants to build a trip and pick the activities, we'll do all of the logistics and pick it all, help you plan the whole thing out, and then guide you through the activities that you want and find the most interesting. So that's it for questions. Thanks for joining me on our destination series. As always, if you've got questions, we're here in the office Monday through Friday. You can call us, you can email us. We'd love to help you get on a Southern Utah trip. We do know that this summer, with all that's gone on with the pandemic over the last year, that as we're hoping things start to open up overseas, we are an international company as well. But a lot of people might really want to journey closer to home. And we have a tremendous option for you here in Southern Utah, and would love to take you on a really fun adventure in our state. So thanks for joining us, and I look forward to hearing from you. And this destination series will go out on YouTube next Saturday. And next Saturday's destination series is going to be on Everest Base Camp. So I'll look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for joining us on our destination series.